Hi students of the Civil War. Professor Haas here again, week 4. It's only taken us 4 short weeks to actually get to the Civil War. Who knew that when you sign up for a Civil War class, it would take you a full month of reading before you actually got to the war? But hopefully, as you've understood, the readings that we've done are essential for you to understanding why this war is being fought. And for most of you coming from a limited history background, I felt it was very important that we really do address these issues, understanding slavery, understanding the politics of the time, why the sides are so sectionally fractionalized at this point. Now, in this next week, as we get closer to the impending Civil War, there are 4 major topics that we're going to be looking at. The first is John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry, Virginia. Now, John Brown's raid has been referenced to in your previous reading, which they talked about his raid at Potawatomi, where he was responsible for killing several pro-slavery settlers in Kansas. Now, as we approach this new chapter, we look at John Brown's ultimate raid on Harper's Ferry, Virginia, where he would lead or attempt to lead a slave uprising and to seize an arsenal, federal arsenal. And as a result, Robert E. Lee is called in as being a commanding officer of a battalion to put down the rebellion and take back the arsenal. Now, John Brown is arrested, and he's put on trial and found guilty of terrorism against the state. Now, to the Northern abolitionists, he would be a hero or a martyr, died for the cause of slavery. To the South, he would be labeled just another example of how the North does not respect the rights of the South. The second issue we're going to look at is the election of 1860. And in this very interesting 4-way election, 4 different parties, Abraham Lincoln is victorious. Now, this is going to lead the South to start to think about breaking away from the Union, because they say that Abraham Lincoln, although he's looking to preserve the Union, he's doing it with a Northern interest. He's against slavery, or at least he doesn't want to allow slavery to expand. The third issue that we're going to look at is, why now does the South choose to secede? It's not only Abraham Lincoln, it's not only slavery, and they're going to look at the discussions where you have some moderate Southerners who don't necessarily want to secede. And we're going to look at that issue of why do these moderates eventually choose to secede. And then finally, the last issue of the reading involves the first real battle of the Civil War, known as the incident at Fort Sumter, sometimes called the Battle of Fort Sumter. Not so much a battle as it was a Southern forcing out of the Northern troops out of a federal fort. So as we look at the first Battle of Fort Sumter, we're going to see how Abraham Lincoln handles this situation, and this might give some evidence of how is he going to handle the rest of the war. In terms of some housekeeping issues, I've been noticing that people have been responding to any emails that I've been sending. Most people have been posting on time, and I'm noticing that people are actually going on and listening to lectures and videos and reading different documents that I've posted, because I have a tracker to figure out who's posting and who's reading and who's not. For those of you who are not, I'm noticing it in your posts that they're a little scant, that maybe some of your postings are more opinionated than they are based on evidence from lectures or notes. So just a side note, if you haven't been doing the extra readings or watching the extra videos, I would suggest it, because it's going to make your postings a little more meaty, that you have some more guts to it than it's just your opinion of why things are happening. And obviously, that's the point of why I have you write the discussion board. Is can you apply what you've learned to a situation or a question? I also wanted to remind you once again that the first paper is due on June 2nd, which talks about why the South seceded. Now, this paper is accessible again on the left side, the left column of your Blackboard page, and it should be submitted on that assignment tab. I shouldn't be getting an email with your document. If you're having any trouble submitting your assignment, if you don't know how to do it on Blackboard, again, please feel free to call me or email me, and I can talk you through it. Besides that, I hope you enjoy this final week before we actually get into the Civil War, the war of the class. And again, who would think it would take us so long to get to the actual war? But starting next week, we will be looking at the actual battles of the war, the events of the war, and how the South is eventually going to lose this war, and the strategies the North are going to use in order to regain the South back into the Union. So until then, again, if you have questions, let me know, but I will talk with you next week.